Next concept on the SAT is the comparison. The comparisons are nothing but they are also parallel elements, like the one that we have done in parallelism. The comparisons are nothing but parallel elements, so they must have more than one portions on the set. So you could have portion A, portion B, and portion C, but then these parallelism concepts have to be put to a check whether they are logical or illogical. So we have to find out whether these subsets are logical or illogical. So we have to find out that. So how do we do that? So let's understand this. So their comparisons are subsets of parallelism, and they require an additional check. That's what I said. So let's look at this sentence, for example. Massachusetts students scored better than New Jersey. Great. So we are talking about Massachusetts students, part A, and we are talking about New Jersey, part B. But then definitely Massachusetts students are not equal to New Jersey. They have got to be compared to New Jersey students, to say the least. Right. So obviously this comparison is illogical, or this sentence is incorrect. Better way of writing this would be Massachusetts students scored better than New Jersey students. So we repeat the word students out here, and hence there is a direct comparison between students and students. But then the best way of writing it would be Massachusetts students scored better than those of New Jersey. We are using a demonstrative pronoun to refer back to the students. On the SAT generally, because of the concept of wordiness, wherein the least words used in a sentence which is grammatically correct would always stand correct, this is the best way of writing a sentence. In the final version, we have removed the repetition while still correcting the illogical comparison. So this is the best way of writing the comparison. Fortunately, on the side, we don't have to write it. They would have to give us, but then in comparison to the noun, it is always better to use the demonstrative pronoun. So these are some common comparison signals. If we find words like, unlike, more than, less than, faster than, different from, all these in a sentence, this is giving a very, very clear signal to us that there is a comparison involved between part A and part up to part N. So we have to be careful to see whether these are logical or illogical. On the digital SAT, the questions based on comparisons are few and far between. So this is not a topic that is very frequently tested on the SAT, but then yet we need to understand this topic, because once in a blue moon it will start appearing on the SAT. So the rule is very simple. You can only compare equivalent things. Obviously, there are things of analogical comparison occurs when a sentence compares two things which are in the same type. So Massachusetts students scored better than those of New Jersey definitely makes a lot of sense, but Massachusetts students scored better than New Jersey doesn't make any sense, because you cannot compare students to a city. A few rules that we need to remember when it comes to the comparisons. First one, we have to compare only person with person and things to things. We cannot compare persons to things. We cannot compare persons to things. So Jimmy's restaurant has more customers than Bob does. So we are comparing Jimmy's restaurant's customers to Bob's customers. So we are not really looking at comparing restaurant customers than Bob does. We have to compare than the restaurant which Bob has, something like that. So this is basically incorrect. We have also got to compare possessive to possessive. So all possessive nouns must be compared to possessive nouns. So we cannot compare something like this. Anya's cooking is just as good as Nia. No, we cannot do that. So if you're willing to write it like that, then it is compared to Nia's cooking. It cannot be compared directly to Nia. So it has got to be compared to, the possessive has got to be compared to possessive. Categories. This is important. When we have got a category, a full category, say animals, right? When we have got a full category of, say, animals, and if we are comparing a particular unit of that category to the rest of the unit, right? That has got to be secluded out of the whole set. This cannot be a subset. This has got to be exclusive. So let's take some examples. Massachusetts students scored higher than any student, right? So this is an illogical comparison because Massachusetts students are also a part of this student fraternity, right? So there has to be some any other student out here, wherein we have to get this subset of this whole thing out of the this subset rather, not this one, out of the whole set. More examples. The apple from her orchard was tastier than all apples. Same thing. William Shakespeare has sold more books than anyone. Anyone would also include William Shakespeare. Cannot be this way. A cheetah is faster than any land mammal. So cheetah is also a land mammal. So these are all incorrect examples or illogical comparisons. So let's do some examples, something like what we have on the SAT. Having read many of both authors' novels, I prefer those to Ernest Hemingway's to those of Victor Hugo. I mean, I probably spelt out the right beans because that has to be the correct answer. But then out here, we are comparing, I prefer those of Ernest Hemingway to Victor Hugo. So you cannot compare the novels of Ernest Hemingway to Victor Hugo. So we will have to put in something here, right? So definitely A is not a good answer. To those of Victor Hugo seems to be a good answer. Victor Hugo's writing, no, you cannot compare the novels of or novels of Ernest Hemingway to Victor Hugo's writing, and that of Victor. This is absolutely incorrect. So the answer should be a B. Teeth grinding, fidgeting, and excessive energy are a few negative side effects of overconsumption of energy drinks. This is a simple parallelism question. Teeth grinding, fidgeting, and excessive energy seems to be okay. This is a parallelism question actually. So the correct answer probably could be a no change because the sentence should be correct. Let's see, have excess energy, incorrect. To overly energetic, so this is absolutely incorrect. So answer has to be an A. Hibernation, the act of resting and conserving energy when food is scarce, is a behavior more common to bears than any other animals. Okay, so a behavior more common to bears, than any other mammals. So we are looking at a behavior. We are comparing the behavior with mammals. So A change is not a good answer because no change is not a good answer because behavior and mammals are absolutely different. More like bears than any other mammals, no. More common to bears than to, yes. This probably is the correct answer, and more common to bears than to the behavior of. Again, we are repeating behavior for nothing because to would signify behavior directly. So the most logical answer that we can find is C. So the correct answer on all probabilities has to be a C. So stay tuned. The next section would be wordiness and concision. Again, 1 or 2 questions you can find on the SAT based on these concepts.